So I'm having a chat with Rod Argent of The Zombies. How are you?
I'm fine, actually. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Good, excellent. And we're having a little chat because you've released a new record, and we've been playing a new single of yours called Merry Go Round. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
Yeah, it was the first thing that we recorded when after we'd been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we'd done extensive touring in the States up to that point. I thought the band had never sounded so good, and I wanted to record a new album, and I wanted us to all do it in a very old-fashioned way, in the way one used to have to record, so that everyone is in the same space at the same time, so the musicians can bounce off each other, so that we could react to Colin's voice, and he could react to what we were doing, and to try and capture a performance that was, just a little bit above the other takes, to capture a take with a little bit of magic in it. And it felt very important to us to go back to that way of recording. And that's exactly what we did, and we loved the result of it.
Good. And what was the reason behind wanting to go back and record in that way compared to more modern methods, I guess?
Well, the thing is that I've done lots of production and recording of other artists. I did the first Tunisia Tikram album, which sold 4 million albums in Europe, and I've enjoyed those. But I really wanted to get back to that feeling of recording almost live, so that you can have that instant attenuation of ideas, if you like, as you're playing. You just change slightly what you're doing to what you're hearing at that very instant, and everyone else does the same thing. And we react to Colin slightly differently. Colin reacts to us. And then afterwards, we don't turn our back on any recording techniques after that. Once we've got a performance that seems really vital and is really enjoyable to do, and usually ends up in a session that's only about 3 or 4 hours long to actually get the main thing down. But then on the second day, we would probably add harmonies and do all the touching up of things. But I really wanted to do things that weren't too overproduced, to use that to try and capture that feeling that you get on stage when the band is really rocking. And we intentionally try to take that procedure onto this album.
Yeah, great stuff. And how's the record? Different game is called, as I should probably mention it. How does the record sound in comparison to your previous records?
I think it sounds more vital. I think it's the best thing we've done for us anyway. It's the best thing we've done in many years. And it has a really alive feeling to it. And when we did Odyssey and Oracle, which was the last album that I produced along with Chris White, that particular one, we did it because we've been very unhappy with how our previous records have been sounding, previous singles have been sounding. And for better or worse, we wanted to try and get our own ideas of how we heard the songs in our own minds before they finally made it onto the record. And we felt we'd achieved that with Odyssey and Oracle. And this is the first record after that we've been in total control of the process and produced it ourselves. And as I say, for better or worse, the songs are each very much how we heard them in our own minds before we started recording. And it was very important to me particularly. I wrote 9 of the 10 songs to get that down onto record and to be able to listen back and think, yeah, that's the song I heard in my head before we started recording. So, it feels quite satisfying to achieve that.
Yeah, I can well imagine. And you get the pleasure of playing these tracks live across the UK starting in a couple of days' time. I bet you can't wait to be touring again.
It's going to be great to be touring the UK. We haven't done a UK tour for about 5 years. I mean, we've been touring intensively in America. We just came back 2 days ago, actually, from our last American tour, and where we played South by Southwest and amazingly, we got the award for the best band at South by Southwest, and we got a prize of $10,000 to be given to a charity of our choice. I mean, that's the prize basically. So we were knocked out to do that. But this is the first UK tour we'll have done in ages and ages.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait to be playing
Absolutely.
the tracks live. Yeah, no, and you've been releasing music since the early 60s. How would you say and how has the music evolved since the start through until now?
That's something that I don't know. I can only ever write the same way as I've always written, and produce the same way as I've always produced, really. I don't know any other way of doing it. So we always do everything for real. We don't try and analyze what we should be doing. We just, when I write, for instance, I always try and get excited about a chord sequence or whatever it is I start with. Whatever the trigger is, whether it's a lyrical one or just a groove or whatever, and then do something which starts to really work for me. And if it does, I'll always get Colin around, and we'll start doing it with piano and voice and make it really work for the two of us. And then if it's still continuing to work, we'll take it to the band and try and get it to work with the band. If that happens, and we think it's really working, it's really a very exciting process. And then we'll record it and get the best out of the recording we can. So that's the way we've always done things. I don't really know any other way to do it. And often record companies have thought that what we've done has not been commercial, and it's usually been the biggest records we've made. like She's Not There and Time of the Season were both regarded as being uncommercial by the record company.
They were.
And yet they were both ended up as number ones in America, for instance, and all around the world. So it's such a joy, really, honestly, Jim, to be at this age and still feel that we've got an outlet to do what I would otherwise wake up in the morning and pay somebody to do, but to earn a great living around the world by doing it. And it's really trying to just get our own feelings about what we're doing onto record. And if we can achieve that, it's a much harder thing than you would imagine to do that. But if you can achieve it, then it's very satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on a couple of your bigger tracks, She's Not There and Time of the Season. Did you realise at the time that those tracks were going to be as big as they've become, and even they're still being played today?
Well, no, but at the same time, when we first recorded She's Not There, we were 18 years old, so you just sort of expect things to be successful at that age, and because you know nothing of the reality of the business. I just thought, yeah, I can write a song that's going to be a huge hit, and Colin's going to sound wonderful singing it, and we're going to put lovely harmonies on it, and it's going to be recorded beautifully, and people are going to produce it beautifully, and some unbelievable way all that happened. And so I was very, very excited, but I didn't think, I thought that was the way things happened. I very soon found out it wasn't. But I must say that when we wrote, I wrote Time of the Season as the last track on Odyssey and Oracle, and I honestly thought that it had a chance of being a commercial song, a very commercial song. No one else agreed with me at the time, and it was only because Al Cooper, who was the hottest producer at the time, had just joined CBS in America, and he took it over there and said, you have to release this. You absolutely have to release it. And they weren't going to. And so they did. And it became a number one. So, but I always thought when I wrote that it had a chance of being a hit record. I have to say that.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, Rod, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Oh, thank you so much.